what's up, family? It's Chris, your favorite coach, again, back with another edition of Conversations with Chris. It's been a while because I have no rhyme or reason to how I do these things. I just do them when I get inspired. And, as I talk to interesting people and want to share what they have with you guys. So thanks for joining. And today we have none other than the wonderful Jennifer Lea, rebranding that last name. And she is a friend of mine. She's part of a mastermind group. We share a coach. And Jennifer has gone from office worker for her whole life to successful entrepreneur in less than a year by founding Entry Envy. So she's going to tell us a little bit about her journey, her story, how she arrived where she is and where she's going. And I'm super excited about it because I own this product. I love this product. And it's so much more than just a product, right? So welcome, Jennifer. Yay!
Thanks, Chris. I am excited to be here. And yes, thank you for being a customer. I'm glad you love it.
That's right.
So yeah, backing up a little bit, I think I have to go back to January of 2020. I got divorced and I had worked in law firm management for 18 years, managed small to medium-sized law firms, loved my career, but because of life circumstances, so you have a divorce, then you have COVID, I moved into a fixer-upper house, and like everybody on the planet, everybody's remodeling and working on home improvement projects. And this house was about 50 years old. I remodeled the entire inside of the house. My dad was a carpenter and retired, so he helped me a little bit. But it was awesome. I did a blog on the whole thing called cheaperthanwine.com. And through that, I actually became really inspired to get more women into the trades because at the time, if you think about middle end 2020, early 2021, we still have tens of thousands of people unemployed, women in particular, who were in entertainment, hospitality, tourism. And just really felt like, oh my gosh, there are so many people out there who want contractors and complaining the plumber can't show up and the electrician didn't get the job done and whatever. And we have so many people who are employable, but we've not taught them the skills. We've never told them that we can. So I actually kind of got on a tangent of sort of how do I impact women in the trades? But I still had a full-time job that was easily 60, 70 hours of work a week. I had not done my remodel project yet. And I decided that I couldn't take on another thing until I kind of got done. So a couple more months go by. I'm almost done with the remodel. This is in about April of last year, 2021. And the inside of my house looked brand new, but I came home every day and I looked at this 50-year-old house on the outside and I was like, ugh. I'm like, how do I impact curb appeal in a positive way without spending a lot of time, money, or energy because I was kind of out of all of it, and decided that I could paint the garage door, paint the front door, and update the house numbers. And if I could do that, then we were making steps in the right direction. And so I painted the garage door, paint the front door, and went on the world of Etsy and Pinterest and Google and tried to figure out like, okay, what am I going to do with these house numbers? And I mean, there's really only so many things to do with them, right? Like, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of creativity behind it, but I found this one box that had a sign. I had a little planter's box on the front of it. And I thought, well, this is kind of cute. But then I thought, I live in Nebraska. What am I going to grow in here? I'm going to have to water it twice a day for the 3 or 4 months out of the year that it will work. It's going to be water all over my front porch. And who has time for this? Like, forget it. But I made it anyway. I had everything in my garage. So I go out to the garage and I make it. Turned out to be really cute. And so then I'm like, okay, well, all right, we'll keep it. And so but then what I found was I know I have to go to Michael's once a month. I have to get all of this crap to go in there. I have to figure out the design. I'm putting in all fake stuff because I already decided we weren't watering it. And I had to overbuy so much stuff. I had to buy the whole bag of moss and I needed this much. And I had to buy the whole dozen tulips and I needed 3 and whatever. Not to mention that I had to go home and I had to find my wire cutters and it made a mess and blah, 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 all the things. So actually I started looking to see if there was a company that did faux floral subscription. Like, is there somebody that can just ship me the stuff to go in this little box? And kind of what I'm talking about is like, these are just 2 samples because I make them in all different styles now. So this little box is what I'm talking about. And for all the holidays and all the seasons, because I wanted to update it. And the answer was no. I couldn't find anybody that did this. And at that moment, when they talk about the term kind of mind blowing, that's all I can describe it as. For the next 48 hours, I don't think I ate. I don't think I slept. And all I did was build this company in my head. And I thought, well, not everybody needs house numbers. Some people are just going to want a monogram. Not everybody lives in a house. Maybe they have a front door, but they live in an apartment or a dorm or, a nursing home or whatever. And so anyway, I made 3 different styles, 2 for outside, 1 for inside, built this company having a subscription-based business around it. I knew from Marketing 101, come up with a recurring revenue model to make money, to make the company profitable quickly. And so that's where this started. So then I had to kind of establish proof of concept. I needed to make sure the rest of the world thought that this was a good idea before I invested any more time or money into it. Hired a coach, I was confident through a couple of months worth of market research. I had this. And so I worked on launching it, officially launched October 1st of last year. And we were named Best New Subscription of the Year in 2022 by the Subscription Trade Association in June. So 8 months later. So yeah, and my last day as a full-time corporate employee was March 31st of this year. So full-time entrepreneur as of April of this year.
I love how it was born out of, like, because we say like great ideas are born out of pain, but this is kind of like a fun pain because here you got to design something great. And one of the things I love is we look at your website and you see Jen there with a saw, right? So like doing it, putting it together yourself. And how did you arrive at that place? I mean, let's go back to like when you were a little girl, what'd you want to be? Like, what were you inspired and passionate about? And I mean, there's always some kind of, we can always connect the dots in hindsight to what kind of got us to this point.
Yeah, so dating myself here at the age of 44, when I was growing up, we did not have devices in our hands all the time. Cell phones didn't exist, right? And my mom worked at a restaurant at night. My dad worked on a lot of side jobs. So he would pick me up after he got off of his day of work and we'd go over and we'd be at somebody's house putting together a deck or whatever. And he always asked, we always got a snack. I usually had a pop and a candy bar of some sort or something. And then he would say, do you have all your homework done? And I'd be like, yeah. So I'm bored. I didn't have anything else to do. So then it was kind of like, okay, well, why don't you, hammer this or take these screws out or do that. So I didn't know. I grew up with a dad who could fix anything. And I really didn't know that that wasn't a skill that all men were born with, and let alone women. And so my mom's always been really creative. And I
Jen, you're frozen. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if Jen's frozen to everybody else, but Jen is frozen to me. So, by the way, as we're talking to Jen, just wanted to see if you guys had any questions. Feel free to post your questions live right in the comments. We will get to them. We'll answer them live. If not, if you're watching it on replay, post your questions. Jennifer will be able to have access to them, and she'll get back to you. And we are giving away 3 tickets to Maverick Success Live in New Jersey to the first 3 people that ask a question live. And if you want details on that, you can also message me. But I don't know. We lost Jennifer. She's frozen. See, that's the thing about internet, right? So it's wonderful, and it's a good thing that we have problems with it because then we need people to fix it. So we're live. We're waiting for Jennifer to pop back on. If you guys have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. We'll get them right up here live. And we are giving away 3 free tickets to Maverick Success Live in New Jersey. That's an event that both Jennifer and I attend and have attended and will attend. And if you've got a question for Jennifer, if you're in the New Jersey area or you want to make your way to the New Jersey area in October, we're giving away some tickets for Maverick Success Live, which is where Jennifer and I met about a year ago. So welcome back. We were just talking about how technology fails us, and it's a good thing because then we still need people to fix it, right?
Right.
So we're talking about your dad's kind of like Handy Mandy. He's Handy Mandy. He could fix everything. And so you kind of learned a little bit about how to do things yourself like that.
Yeah, he could absolutely fix anything. And so I was just never afraid. My dad, one of the things that he always said There's a lot of things that I think we grow up with. Somebody in our head teaches us from the A's of primary education that there's a right answer and a wrong answer. And you are driven to get an A based on that, finding that right answer. In the world of the trades, there's not necessarily one way to do anything. My dad always said, if it works, it works. And so I think I kind of got that piece from him that don't be afraid, just fix it, figure it out, be creative, come up with a solution. And so taking on this whole house project, even though I didn't really know what I was doing, I knew I could figure it out. And I think I approach life like that. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know I'd start a company that, does a subscription-based business, but figure it out.
And that's awesome. And one of the things that attracted, as soon as I saw this product before we met and you started talking about it, and I work with a lot of, I work with small business owners mainly. A lot of them are in a real estate business. And I said, man, what a great closing gift. I wish when I was in real estate sales, I had number one, something unique and personalized that everyone could use. Number two, something that was a reoccurring touch, right? So if you're in the real estate business, if you're in the mortgage business, and you want to get a unique gift for somebody, I kind of love this idea because not only you're showing up with a tangible thing like right behind you, to the closing, hey, this is for you. And by the way, every season, every quarter, whatever model they choose, you're going to be getting a little present from me in a box, right? That to kind of keep these boxes decorated. By the way, I love this one right now. It's funny because my mom's the one that puts these things together in our house. She loves doing that stuff. And we came home the other night and it was all lit up and it looked beautiful. So, really, the concept is wonderful. I'm the type of person that likes change also. So, how's it been in the building of your business so far? I mean, it takes an incredible amount of tenacity and passion in order to kind of get you through those rough moments. So, tell us a little bit about that. Like, I didn't know I was going to start a business, so I did, and boy, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So, tell us a little bit about that, and what would you go back and tell your earlier self? What kind of advice would you give?
Chris, would you ask that last question one more time, please? What kind of advice would I give on what?
It kicked you out. So like if you went back, like, because you just started a business, you didn't know you were going to start a business. And then here you are, you're in the thick of it. And sometimes we get ahead of ourselves. And like, how was that journey? And what advice would you go back and give yourself in the beginning of your venture? Like that's about a year ago, I guess. It's always good to learn from the people that have done it, that are doing it. You're brand new. You're still fresh in this. So
figuring it out. Yeah. I think the number one piece of advice that I would give somebody else that I've taken is don't do this by yourself. A lot of people say that the entrepreneurial journey is lonely, and I have not found that. Like, I don't think it's lonely at all, but I have intentionally surrounded myself with a community. So if you look at the world of leadership, they always say the best leaders are those people who surround themselves with people who are smarter than they are in those respective areas, right? Like, you build your team based on what other people do really well. And I think for me, in the world of entrepreneurship, all of a sudden you're it. And especially in the beginning, like, you are literally it. You don't have a team yet. But it doesn't mean you have to do it alone. And it does mean that you're making an investment in yourself. You're making an investment in your business. I am just a lifelong learner mentality. I did not go into this trying to pretend that I knew anything about it. And I'll back up on 1 second. I have a lot of education. I have a 4-year degree. I have an executive MBA. I've managed, $10 million plus companies for 20 years. But I didn't pretend that I knew how to start one. Not at all. Like, in even knowing that, I had no idea how hard it was going to be to literally grow a company from ground up. Like, you're building not only the color of the logo, the culture, the team, the tags, it is the typical entrepreneur of throwing a whole lot of stuff on the wall and trying to see what sticks. I think the super challenging thing, we talk about this product and how it came to be. It's simply an elegant solution to an everyday problem. It came to be because I tried to solve a problem, and I'm my own first customer. But there's nobody else that's doing it, and that's good and bad. There is not another exterior home decor subscription company. There's not another faux floral subscription company. There aren't even a lot of subscription home decor companies, period. So I feel like more than ever, it's been doing something that nobody's done. Our mastermind always says, do it different, and I think that that's exactly the case. Like there's not a path to follow here. So I keep throwing a lot of stuff on the wall, seeing what sticks, bounce a lot of ideas off of people, take other people's, ideas and implement them. And sometimes that can be exhausting because every single person I talk to has another fantastic idea. And sometimes it doesn't feel like it's enough. But I just think that the biggest piece of advice would be, do not try and do this alone, even when it's just you. Invest in a coach, invest in community, and don't ask all of your friends and family what they think. I love Sarah Blakely's quote. She talks about that, the new ideas are most fragile in their infancy, right? And in people, that's when the bubble can burst. Fortunately, my mom, who is one of my best friends, was a believer in this from the beginning. And she's my harshest critic too. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is not a woman who would just be like, oh, my daughter, I love you. No. This was a woman who would have told me right off the bat, like, if she's like, no, this is horrible. But she didn't. To my surprise, she's actually like, I think it's a great idea. And I was like, oh, well, now what? I guess I better do this. But besides that, be careful who you talk to, and make sure you believe in yourself.
Sure. Yeah. It always comes back to the who. And I love how you said, you don't have to do it alone. Don't do this alone. And it's, in retrospect, that's always what it comes down to. And I was quoted in a class that was part of a mastermind group putting this class together about leverage, saying the only thing I realize I have to be good at is finding people that are really good at things. And that's so true. Now, when you start, you're it. Like you said, you're it. You're everything, right? So you're doing it all yourself. But I love how you said, don't do it alone. Somebody might automatically think, oh, I have to hire an assistant. I have to start with a team. No, the people you have to start with are mentors, coaches, consultants, people that have done it before you, people that you could shadow, whose brains you could pick, right? So it should be part of your growth plan. Like, who is your who? Who's your who? That's a question I always ask. Who do I want to talk to this month, this year, this week? Who do I want to go out to lunch with? Who do I want to go travel across the country to see and spend time with? And we are fortunate that we're plugged into a community that has, we could keep ourselves busy all year, kind of picking brains and talking to people. And I've certainly learned from you and everybody else, and we continue to learn. I love how you said being a lifelong learner. So a couple of those things. Who's your who? Who can really help you? Be careful who not to bring in, right? Because there's always someone who's going to think it's a bad idea, that it's crazy. And then who can I share this with that's going to be inspiring, that can learn from, that can teach me, that's ahead of where I want to be, that might be able to tell me something that I don't know. And then go and screw up as fast as possible. Just screw it all up. That's going to be your biggest lesson, right? I'm thinking in the past year, would you attribute like a lot of your mistakes, just kind of going for it, to would you attribute that to your success? Was it more learning from failures than it was kind of just knocking it out of the park right away?
Well, there's no mistakes or failures, right? There's only feedback.
No failure, only feedback.
Right? Our words matter.
Very good.
I think everything is, everything I do is a learning opportunity. I think my fear is that sometimes it's the fail fast, fail forward philosophy, right? But sometimes I know that I don't have a lot of patience, and I worry that I chase another squirrel before I've actually chased the first squirrel long enough, right? So it's that it wasn't necessarily perhaps a failure. It was maybe I wasn't persistent enough on that path long enough. So I think that's been kind of a challenge. And I question myself sometimes. You can't go back and do what you did. You just got to keep moving and keep going forward. But that's one of the things that I guess I worry about. The who is my group? Who's my circle of five? Wow. That's, that changing my circle of five changed my life 100%. And I think that, I came from a small town. And I love my small town because I grew up with a lot of those small town values and the work ethic. And I think most of all, there's the be nice to everybody philosophy, because in a small town, you do know everybody and everybody knows everybody. And so I've taken that piece with me throughout my life, and it's always served me. But there's so many people that never move out, that never go outside of that circle. And that circle might be their 300 people or 5,000 people or whatever their town is. And I think that for me, one of the most important things was stepping outside of my industry that I'd been in for 18 years, stepping outside of Omaha, um, and expanding my circle into people who I was no longer the smartest person in the room with. I've been that person for a really long time, and I needed to change that dynamic. So it's hard, it's humbling, because I know sometimes when I sit in a room with the groups that we spend time with, I'm like, oh, I have so much to learn, and but it's like, that's what stretches you, that's what grows. So I think if there's been one thing I've really, really learned in the last couple of years, it's been the people that you spend time with make a huge impact on your life. And you don't have to give up people that you enjoy spending time with and been friends with for 25 or 30 years. That's not it. It's just a different circle that challenges you to think bigger and to think things that you've never even considered thinking because you didn't even know the questions existed.
Yeah, it's like you don't know what you don't know, and it's change your network of conversations. And I have this conversation a lot with people. It's like, man, I keep finding I'm having the same conversations with the same people, and we kind of get into this habit. So it's like, do something different, meet someone different, try something different. We have a saying: throw your hat over the wall. We don't know what's on the other side of that. Just throw it over there and go get it and see what happens. But it's I mean, in looking back, if you had to give advice to somebody, I mean, look, and I love how you said I was the smartest person in a room for a long time, and I know you worked with attorneys, and those of you that know me know how I feel about attorneys most of the time. And so, and I guarantee you were the smartest person in that room with those attorneys. But so to go from a successful, having what everybody would hope for, like this kind of successful corporate gig where you were treated well, paid well for what you did, all that kind of stuff, to really jump out of that. I remember when we first, you had a goal. Chris, by this date, I'm going to pull the plug on my corporate job and just go full time. And what advice would you give to somebody that might be in that position, that's either has a day job, a good career, let's not even say a job, has a good career, but is also passionate about something, whether they've started it or not, or whether it's just an idea? What advice would you give to that person?
Well, I think I want to back one, because I have worked for attorneys for too long, right? So I have to correct myself. But it goes back to that whole leadership thing. Hire people who are smarter than you in their respective areas. And in the rooms that I was in, not necessarily counseling from a legal perspective, but when we're talking about marketing or we're talking about business or whatever, that's kind of that environment. But, I think that I've always been a super big believer in Gallup strengths. And in fact, my thesis related to executive coaching and personality profiling assessments. And they're amazingly accurate. I think I've taken every one of them. And what Gallup's research says, and there's 21 million people that have taken the Gallup Strengths Finder in the world, is that if you do what you are naturally good at, the nature versus nurture, those natural God-given talents, abilities that you have, and you exercise those every day, you will always be successful and therefore happy. And not to say that happiness comes after success, because we know that that's not exactly the case if you subscribe to the Sean Anker philosophies. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't know, I was using all of my strengths every day, but not in the way that they could have been employed. And so now to be able to bring in the piece of the business side, which I love, my top 5 are strategic, maximizer, arranger, woo, and achiever. So all of those things are great with business, but I have this huge piece of creativity that I've been stifling for a really long time. And I now get to exercise that. So I think that my advice is find what it is that you absolutely love, that you are naturally good at, And when you find that, you know it. When you know, it is like that. It is the perfect alignment. I feel like I am living my passion and my purpose, and I am blessed to be able to have found that. And okay, it took 44 years. It's okay. There's a lot of life left to live. In terms of the advice of the people who have the corporate job and maybe are afraid to lean into that other side of it, it is scary, but and my quote that I keep everywhere is, everything you want is on the other side of fear. There's a lot of things in life that we can all be fearful of. And it's walk into it, not walk away from it. And the advice that I will never forget that Paul said was, it's don't quit your job when you have replaced your income, quit your job when you know how to replace your income. And I think for me, I absolutely got to a point where I had to make a decision. I could not do both. I was going to lose my mind. And the safe thing to do would have been to stay in corporate. But what I wanted to do was just run with this entrepreneurial thing. And I thought, what's the worst case scenario? And is it really going to happen? And I knew I could always go back to corporate. I knew I could always get another job. Could I? I don't think so. Oh my gosh, this whole entrepreneur thing is way too much fun.
Good, but you won't. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a degree of faith to that, right? So you said, don't quit your job when you've replaced your income. Quit your job when you know how. There's a degree of faith to that, because it's just theory at that point, isn't it? So like, hey, you have to have enough passion, enough belief in what you're doing. So I think there's a certain degree of faith and belief in there, right? I love it. So we got Aaron Hammer Feldman. How do you find balance with work, home, and working from home? Geez, what do you got for that one, Jennifer? How do you find balance with work, home, and working from home? And Aaron, thank you. You do not get one of the free Maverick Success Live tickets, but we got you there already anyway. So what would you say? What would you say to that, Jennifer? Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron. Not easy. Right now, I don't have a lot of balance. I have integration. The good and the bad is working out of my house. But I think, like I said from the very beginning, in working, in building a company from the ground up, you're building the colors, the logo, the brand, the tagline. You're also building the culture. And I have two girls that are almost 11 and 13. And I think actually doing this out of my house and building my team of people here has been the best thing for all of us. I have always believed that children are raised by a village, and the more people that you have positively influencing their life, the better off that they are. There are so many kids, and for a long time, my kids had no idea what I did. I went to work every day and came home, and now they see it. They know all of the things that are going on all the time, whether they want to or not. This weekend, we had craft time. Like 3 nights in a row. We're working on kits for September, and we're watching movies and eating popcorn, and we're all working on Entry Envy stuff. And it's not a bad thing. They get paid. Don't worry. We're trying to learn that too, right? Like what is the time value of money, And sometimes I pay like per item, like 25 cents a box to put it together. And sometimes we switch over to the hourly pay. And then Lexi thinks that she should get paid more per hour because she's older, as opposed to Lauren. And Lauren's like, no, we're doing the same work. Good negotiation skills. Anyway, point being, I think there's a lot that we're all learning together. And there isn't a lot of balance. There's a lot of integration right now. And maybe that'll change someday. But right now we just do it all.
I love that. Balance over, like, integration over balance. And it's sometimes I always feel like if you kind of love what you do, and that's a Dream Key Consulting, love what you do. That's the tagline for my business. Let's do shit you love, but sometimes we keep it appropriate around here. Sometimes, but I like that, integration over balance. And if you kind of I look at everything all together, all encompassing, because as long as we're having fun doing it, right, and it's part of our life. So we have, let's see, Aaron again, just like their mama, with such poise and impress me every day. Thanks for that, Aaron. We are live. We're answering these questions live. If anybody's got questions, just go ahead and post them in the comments there. It's really amazing what, Jennifer, you've been able to do in the past year, not
Well,
even,
thank
right?
you.
Right. And we have entryenvy.com. I posted a link in the comments. You can easily click it, kind of see what you're up to. And that's it right there, entry-envy.com. So I like it. It's
And
almost like
actually, Chris, I bought the other one, so now they both work. You don't have to have the hyphen in there.
they both work. We have another question here from Mary. You are going places, Jennifer. Keep up the great job. You have a wonderful parents behind you. So, not
She
a
is
question,
so
more
sweet.
comment. Thanks, Mary. I mean, anything you want to say about that?
She is so sweet. It goes back to that community of people and children being raised by a village. She's been in my village since I was a baby. So it's fun. I feel that the abundance that I have in life right now is the support of all of the family and friends that have been behind me. And, I think a lot about the whole Sarah Blakely. Like, she didn't tell anybody for a year. I told people, but I was careful in who I told of what I was doing. And I have not run into anybody who's, well, maybe they thought I was crazy, but they've not said it to my face, at least. I feel like I have a lot of support behind me. So it's been fun.
It's good, and it's. I think we find who we are. So, like, I always think I'm like, wow, man, it's an abundant world, and I have a lot of support behind me, and a lot of wonderful people, and a lot of good people. We have this thing. I always say, hey, man, there's some good folks over here. There's some good folks. We're sitting at the beach, and I'm like, oh, some nice folks here at the beach, and I think we are right because occasionally we do come along people that are negative, can never get anything done. That'll never work. That's not a good idea. All that kind of stuff. So. Really, look, our brains are conditioned to find the evidence to validate whatever kind of crazy thing we believe. So if you really believe something, you will find the people around you to kind of validate that belief. Don't allow people to tell you no or knock you off your horse. Just keep doing it. I was with a friend yesterday who's visiting Florida from New York named Kyle Kelly, and he said he has this idea. He's like, this is my plan. This is my idea. He's like, oh, everybody keeps telling me it's crazy. And I'm like, I want to hear it. Because if nobody's telling you that it's crazy and that it's nuts, then you're not that off something. But we're here live with Jennifer. We're just going to give you guys one last opportunity. If you have a question, post it right there in the comments, and we can get it answered here live. If you have a comment, if you're going to end up watching this on the replay, still post your questions. Jennifer will see it, then be able to get back to you. And I encourage everybody. At some point today, visit the Entry Envy website, see what you're up to, follow you on social media. Is there anything else, Jennifer, like while we're waiting for people to chime in for questions, that you want to share with everybody?
We've got lots going on. I don't think so. I definitely appreciate your support. I have absolutely loved getting to know you and Aaron and talking about going outside of my circle of the industry. And, Omaha, you guys are part of my abundance. So I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, we're happy to be part of it, and we're glad to have met you. And it's what a great reason to go visit Omaha, Nebraska.
I think coming to visit you in Florida is a better idea.
We want you to move to Florida. We're going to come visit you in Omaha. You move to Florida. I'll tell you, it's what a wonderful place it is over here. I mean, we're fortunate. Every day we feel like we live in paradise. I said yesterday, I really like it here. And Aaron was like, what do you mean here? And I'm like, just like Palm Beach. I mean, where's our bed? She's like, well, compared to what? And I'm like, compared to nothing. I just like it here. I love it here. It doesn't even matter. Just enjoy where you're at, right? But,
well, I will say this, Chris. We have great food here. Great food.
Well, you know how I feel about food. Don't tempt me with a good time. I'll tell you that much. So, any parting words, Jennifer?
No, thank you so very much. I appreciate you and the opportunity to be here today and have a conversation with Chris.
That's right. That's what we do. Very casual, not planned, spontaneous. And thank you for going along with it. Some people are like, I want to come on. Tell me what questions. They try to give me questions ahead of time, or they say, what questions do you have? I'm like, no, we don't do that here. That's not what we do. But it's kind of live and real and raw and happens now. That's why I like it. Unlike so many of those edited, boring ass podcasts We bring you the real deal with the hemming and the hawing, the technical difficulties, the Jennifer getting bumped off, coming back on, but we make it happen. So don't forget it. Did it to you again. Conversations with Chris, Maverick Edition. Thanks for joining us, Jennifer. And I'll see you. I got some clients coming up now in a couple of minutes. And then I got the Maverick clients coming up at 2. I'll see you guys, Maverick folks. I'll be covering for Paul today. It's exciting. So hopefully we'll see you guys out in their world. What we have out here. See, trying to post a pic of my beautiful sign, but can't figure out the tech because I am who I am. Yes. And that's an I am statement, Aaron. I am who I am. That's always right, isn't it? So
I love it. It does look great. All right. Bye.